Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly on TV1.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline. My guest this evening is Mr. M.A. Priyanka, who is the president of the Commissioners Association of Sri Lanka. He's also in charge of the large taxpayer unit at the Inland Revenue Department. It's a great pleasure to have Mr. M.A. Priyanka on the program. He's also, by the way, an attorney at law. Good evening, Mr. Priyanka. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, all of you.
Thank you. And now, obviously, the whole country is, almost the whole country is aware that the IMF, one of the requirements of the IMF agreement concluded by Sri Lanka is a urgent need to increase revenue. And how is the Inland Revenue Department doing on that score? What's your target? Are you meeting your target, etc.?
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. This year, total revenue target given by the Ministry of Finance to the three departments, especially the custom, excise, and the inland revenue, is 3.1 trillion. That means the 3,130 billion target. Out of them, 160 trillion is expected by the ministry to collect as revenue from the Inland Revenue Branch. Especially, we are maintenance and handling 9 tax types, and up to now we have achieved our target. Especially, we have doubled our targets end of the June 30th of this year. In comparing with the last year, we have reached our target by exceeding at least 9.2% achievement in target. And the total revenue we collected more than 43% of the total revenue target given by the ministry. And up to now, it is in a good thing into the country, because according to our target, we must collect more than 50% of the total revenue target given by the ministry. For this purpose, we are doing our work very well and efficiently in order to collect more revenue for the government and the citizen of the
So
country.
your target is 1.6 trillion, and you you are obliged by the government, by the ministry, to collect at least half of that, is it?
Now, the thing is this, Faraz, according to the ministry target, this is our present tax system is the self-assessment, self-payment tax system. According to the past history and other things, normally we can collect, when we go to the historical data, normally the ministry is expecting to collect more than 40% of the target given by the ministry. But up to now, we have exceeded the 40% target, and we now 44%. We achieved 44% from the total target. But the thing is this: normally, you know very well that there are 4 installment payment can make the. There are 4 installment payment. It is the way of the collecting tax, and finally, before the 30th of November, taxpayer can submit their return. If there is due payment, he can also settle with he submitted the return. That's why the second 6 months, the next 6 months, this 6 months will be more revenue than the first 6 months. That's the normal procedure in the department and normal way in the society. Therefore, the ministry also assure that we will be able to collect 40%, more than 40% of the target given by the ministry. But actually, I am happy to say that we have achieved that target by pointing 44% from the target given by the ministry.
Mr. Priyanka, how many tax files do we now have, or do you have now?
Yeah, the figures is this. The thing is this, you very well know there's a tax cut in 2019 when we have more than 1.5 million tax file in 2019. 1.5 million tax file in 2019. But after tax cut in 2020, it was reduced to 500 tax file. Then 2021, nearly 4 lakh, that means the 400,000 files were there. But according to the recent amendment and the recent changes in the tax law, there was a mandatory requirement to open tax file from the 14 categories. The 1st of July, the government amended the tax law, and there is a mandatory requirement to file open from 14 categories, especially the doctor, lawyers, architecture, and some members, and the person who has their contributed to the EPF more than 20,000, he must be with our tax system, and also the business registration and the vehicle owner except three-wheeler driver, motorbicycle driver, tractor drivers. Other 14 categories are liable to income tax. That means not the liable to income tax. They must get their name or file registered with our tax system in the department. The 1st of January next year, the person who are 18 years, that means the 18 plus person, must come to our department to must get action to get his file registered with our department. That may be about government target to 1 million new tax file will be opened soon. I think our department has made the plan, and according to this plan, there is a system. The process is going on now. I think it will get a successful thing at the end of this year and the next 6 months.
So right now, as we are speaking now, what you're saying is that in 2019, prior to the tax cut, we had 1.5 million. And after the tax cut in 2019, in 2020, you had only 500,000 tax files.
Right, exactly.
So we lost 1 million tax files.
You know very well that at that time, the tax threshold for VAT is set in the 300 million, and the pay tax was abolished. There was a called the APIT, Advanced Payment Individual Tax System, is introduced, and the threshold limit was 3 million. Earlier it was 1.2 million. Then there was another exemption given by that such a thing has happened, and the tax automatically we know that file or the total amount of file.
So what do we now in 2022, 2023? How many tax files would we have now?
According to the performance report expressed by the Commissioner General, the details in 2021 now it was about nearly 450 tax file maybe according to the performance report 2021, but I think nearly 5 lakh tax file, 500,000 tax file with me.
So, Mr. Priyanka, is it correct then to say that even in 2021, we actually have around only 500,000 tax files?
You're right.
Is that including the corporate tax file?
Yeah. Corporate tax file. There are the figures with me. There are corporate tax file, the individual tax files, and all the things are there. There are corporate, resident companies, non-resident companies, bodies of the person, 68,000 tax file, and the individual is nearly 300,000 tax file. And all together nearly about 450.
So under 500,000.
2021, but I don't have the correct figures and the statistic 2022 maybe 500,000 tax file at that time at the end of the 31st December 2022.
Which is more straightforward to collect? Is it collecting from the corporate sector easier than collecting from the individual taxpayer?
It depends on the compliance requirement of the country. normally the corporate the earlier according to the present tax system, the companies or corporate tax should submit their return electronic system, e-filing system. That's the main requirement from the 2019. The next year, the all person, even in the individual and partnership, and all must submit their tax return through e-filing or electronic system. But the thing is, the main revenue from the government, especially the individual, income tax, come from the corporate tax. There may be because the one time is there is a tax rate is very high sometimes, and there are so many large entities in the Sri Lanka, multinational companies, and so many businesses are doing there. According to our data, the total collection, the majority of the total collection contributes by the companies level or corporate taxation. But when you go to the individual tax file, it is also may high, but corporate tax file is according to the system, there is no plan with the individual, but the individual tax is not so many high according to our available system.
And but you're hopeful that under the new tax laws, by January, next January, 2024, the number of tax files will increase dramatically.
Yeah, maybe no doubt, because it's I earlier explained that if the government recent changes, it's a mandatory requirement to open a tax file. That means that we'll have to get our name and other thing to registered. Then if the income is exceed according to the present law 1.2 million, automatically they will have to pay the taxes. But if the income tax is not more than 1.2 million, they must not pay the taxes. But their name and their identity card and their system us, because according to the present law, the 14 categories employees, and the next 1st of the January next year, all the person above 18 years must get a PIN number. PIN number means tax identification number. According to the system, if their income is very high, then they will have to automatically pay their taxes according to the current law.
And how does Sri Lanka compare? We have approximately 16 million people who are over the age of 18, who are registered to vote, for example.
Yes.
So out of 16 million, we seem to have only around 500,000 files.
Yeah.
How does that compare in the region? Let's take the Bangladesh economy or something like that. How do we compare?
Yeah, when we compare the number of tax files in the system, there may be a lot. There may be actual. There may be a problem. When we compare in some other countries, especially the Maldives, recently they started the individual tax system. Earlier there was no individual tax system in the Maldives. But India, they collected more than 50% from the direct taxation. That means that they are, according to their income, there are many persons, they are willing to pay the taxes, and their system is very good. There is an electronic system. There is registration process are there. According to the Malaysian, actually, and some other Singapore, their tax system is very good, and their compliance rate is very good. According to this system, the compliance should be increased. That means we will have to widen the tax base, broaden the tax base, and narrow in the tax gaps. That's the system. If we broaden the tax gap, then we will have to automatically come to the failure, because if there are so many taxpayers are in there, but if we can't identify the correct tax person who is liable to tax and who must get to the system, if we can't unable to identify that's the system, then we will have to get out of that, because if a good tax system, we will have to identify the real person who must pay the tax. But compare with some region, their systematic system and some other devices they use to identify the correct person to who pay the taxes.
On that note, let's go for a quick break in which we take a peek at this evening's headline news from the Primetime News team. And we are in conversation with Mr. M.A. Priyanka from the president of the Commissioners Association of Sri Lanka. It's all about tax and collection. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly on TV1.
Sri Lanka's health crisis is worsening. Electricity supply to National Hospital likely to be suspended. Medicine shortage delays surgeries at National Institute for Nephrology Dialysis and Transplantation. Police use water cannons to disperse student protest demanding release of activists. Chaos at the Manning Market in Paliagoda. 17 traders arrested. President chairs all-party conference. Indian eggs to reach Sri Lanka in 2024 as well. Local egg prices drop after control prices were removed.
When a heart attack strikes, every minute makes the difference between life and death. With the right care and treatment at the hand of the most skilled surgeons and medical professionals. With the perfect environment for recovery. Darden's Heart Center, dedicated to you.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly on TV1.
Welcome back to Newsline. I'm in conversation with Mr. M.A. Priyanka, who is the president of the Commissioners Association of Sri Lanka. He's also an attorney at law and a rather senior man at the Inland Revenues in charge of the large taxpayers. So he's bringing in quite a lot of revenue. Mr. Priyanka, tell me, is it better to have a system like in the United States, for example, where you have one number and it's valid forever and a day? Until you die, you're probably buried with the number. Is that a good thing? So that everybody has a tax number and all transactions can be done electronically and makes your life easier?
The thing is this, I think we can get many experience and many things from the nearest country, India, and some Singapore. But the thing is this, we will have to apply more sophisticated system to develop the tax culture. If we destroy the tax culture, the citizen in the country automatically discourage. Therefore, we will have to encourage the person to pay their taxes willingly. The system is there, but that the past period, the UK, there was a tax problem, and it's also the tax cut problem, and the ultimately disclosed at that time the Prime Minister of the UK has to resign, I think, according to the law. But the thing is, when we apply the fair and tax system, and we will have to develop tax culture. The thing is the present experience and the present knowledge used by the many countries to develop the tax system in a good way. Why don't you use this system and the culture and some other sophisticated thing to develop this thing? Because it is our duty. The paying taxes, citizens' duty. This is our responsibility. If we don't pay the taxes, how can we build this country? How can we develop this country? How can we develop infrastructure development, the health facilities, education facilities? Then we will have to give this awareness program among the citizens in the country. Why we pay the tax? Therefore, if we are not ready to pay our due tax or our according to the law, our taxes, then how can we build this country? Today we are suffering from many difficulties in our economic situation. The economic is contracted by 8%, 7%. But our tax revenue is very high comparing with the 2002, the end of the June this year. But according to that the people are willing to pay their taxes if they get some development in this country, and some benefit for the poor, and some benefit for the students, some benefit for the health sector. Then I think the people like to pay their taxes, but their tax should be utilized for the betterment of the lives of the people. Then if we use our taxes for the betterment of our lives, then I think there is no problem to pay taxes in this country.
Is it fair to say that in Sri Lanka there is this sort of a perception that the tax office, the Inland Revenue Department, are not being forceful enough, that they are a little bit lax? Is that true?
In certain ways, sometimes I will have to accept your view, but the thing is this, they are more capable and educated and more advanced knowledgeable person is there. But I accept something, but the thing is, not fully, the system is there. But the thing is this, there is a two way of collecting taxes. One, we know very well that there is a policy gap and the administrative gap. But the amendments, tax law, and all the procedure and other things should be done by the ministry's level. Then we will have to implement such a thing. According, you know very well that in the 2019 there was a tax cut. Then we have lost more than 50% of the tax collected than the previous year. Then what we have to do is we can't do nothing. We can't do anything because it is government procedure. Our constitution 148 really says that the total power, the public finance is the controlled by the parliament, and parliament is their mandatory role. Then if they impose taxes, rates, and reduce, then we will have to apply it, and we will have to do according to the procedure or legislation power. Then, but I accept that we will have to improve our capacity. Especially, we will have to improve our capacity. We will have to add some more advanced technology, and we will have to also use some modern technology to identify the real person, and we will have to also interrelate with the other areas, especially we know very well that the money laundering activities are there, illicit money is there, and some other problem is there. But there are so many things we will have to fight. That I accept that we will have to use more technology and other.
What happened to the system? Was it called Rames? What happened to that?
The thing is, it is an arguable point, and it is the very relevant topic you asked me. Thank you very much. The thing is this: there are so many times it was questioned. It was questioned at the many high level persons. You know very well that the media also carries on this news last week. The thing is this: I accept that it was a problem. But the thing is that now the Ramis system 2.0, Ramis 2.0 new version has been implemented, and probably from the next month it can be utilized for the betterment of our department. Now the team of Singapore and some other experts visited our place, and they examined the other changes, recent changes. Probably I think without any problem, within 1 or 2 months we can implement this system.
And you believe that the technology is the way forward. That's what you believe in.
The thing is that you very well know that in any country we must have automation system. Otherwise we can't do nothing, because now the electronic transaction and some e-filing system and some many sophisticated things on in the world, but we will have to use this system. But the system should be familiar with us, not us with the taxpayer, with the department, with the ministry, and all of where we will reach a user-friendly system. We must use the user-friendly system, otherwise we can't go alone, because the technology develop day by day, but it must be with us to do our activities and taxpayer to do their activities easily and very quickly. That's the nature of the modern tax system and the modern sophisticated system.
Do you still use the REMIS system?
We still use. We use if you want, if anyone want to get registered, he can do that. Then actually at the November 30th November, we can submit our return to the e-filing system. Then you can get the email facilities, you can get the registration facilities, and many facilities you can get through the REMIS system. There's no problem. But the thing is this: there are many changes happened last year and the previous year. The system and the changes can go quickly. The system and the REMIS system cannot go quickly. I think that's the problem, but we'll have to solve these issues. Somewhere there may be issues. I accept that there may be issues, but we will have to solve these issues, and we will have to do it because it is the benefit of our country.
Mr. M.A. Priyanka, thank you very much for being on Newsline. We much appreciate your presence here.
Thank you.
Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you very much, PLD. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure. And that's the way it was on Newsline this evening. It's now time for the primetime news, of course. But not before I say to you, have a great evening as much as you can. And, of course, take care and God bless you all.